Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Thanks for grooving with Eddie. Today we'll be talking about lowriders and lowrider music and how it's progressed since the 1940s. But first, I want to just shout out to my friend Ninja Breezy for the equipment to help me record, as well as all the hours of editing the videos and cutting out all my ums. So I really appreciate your work, and please leave a compliment or a nice comment for all the hard work that she does too. That would be really nice. Yeah, like I said, I want to talk about lowriders and oldies and just what is acceptable in the lowrider community music wise, because that's where I relate with the beautiful lowriders and who those people are in those lowriders. So to begin with, what lowriders are, for those of you who don't know, it's just the model of low and slow with the cars. In the 1940s, there were a type of car called bomber cars, because of how they look like a shell of a bomb, and just they look chic and nice. But for the Latino community and Chicanos at this time, as I talked about Pachucos in my first video, along with their zoot suit style, they had the cars that they rolled in was lowered to the ground on purpose, manually, to get the effect of when they changed the upholstery or art design on the different bombers that they had. They did that purposely to show their artwork to their friends at a more eye level of, dang, look what's going past. It's a nice gesture, and fills a lot of these Chicanos with pride of what they had their hands on to make. And when they were first becoming popular, it was quickly criminalized to deter people from using or making lowriders, because the police officers at the time closely, as soon as they saw them, associated them with crimes, and what it being out of the ordinary. It was just scary for a lot of people, because it was new and they didn't know how to handle it or control it. But it was just always with the feeling of being rebellion and being just angsty for the identity that you deserve in your life. And that's what it is for those who create lowriders and have car clubs. And car clubs are just a collective of individuals with one thing in common, like all of us in our friend groups. And for those guys, it's talking about their cars and having that as the camaraderie and a brotherhood. And in the early days, they wore jackets like this. This is a Suavecito brand jacket, but it's just as a template of the windbreakers that car clubs make for their own style and how they want their name out there. Like in the movie American Graffiti, the car club in that is the Pharaohs, so they have a bomber jacket and with Pharaohs on the back, and it's more of a leather jacket, as it was the cool thing to do in the 50s and 60s, to wear leather jackets like the Fonz from Happy Days and all of that. But along with how this new way of showing your identity is coming about, they found music that their friends liked as well, which was DooWops. And it turned from crooner, from like on the east side of the United States with Frank Sinatra and just romantic ballads coming out at the time. On the other side of the pond, or on the west side, it was more DooWops. And in Detroit, they had Motown, and all these big cities were getting their voices of who the people were in those cities at the time. In California, where the lowrider community first started off in a bigger sense, because there were car enthusiasts on the East Coast. As anywhere, it's a very general just hobby and activity to do, but on the West Side is where they started experimenting with hydraulics in 1959 with Ranagire creating the hydraulics, and it just on a flip of a switch he created this mechanism to lower the car and ride slow as much as whenever you want, but also if there's police activity or anything around you, so they don't see you breaking a code created to regulate where your bumper was at the time. You just flip the switch and you can go back up, and it was a very intelligent invention that's used today and upgraded to see how high your low rider can go or different angles. So it was a very big staple for Chicano culture and just for car enthusiasts to upgrade their own lowriders. But going back to the music on the West Side, it was synonymous with the radio and what was playing when you were in the car, with radio disc jockeys like the Wolfman Jack being the MC of the night that you and your friends went cruising. Later on, it just created more of a Sunday night, or whenever before you start a new week. It was just in Arizona, it's more popularized to cruise and listen to oldies on Sundays. Cruisin, our guy over here on 104.3 Manic Hispanic, I should leave a description for him. I'll probably link down something that has to do with his program that comes on Sundays, if you guys want to listen on that. But it entails a lot of songs from the 40s and 50s that were compiled on these compilation volume set named the Oldies but Goodies, which were the staples of the music genre at the time, which were DooWops and the early days of R&B and rock and all these infusions and at a more simplified genre, or just an over-round feeling of the music, like Angel Baby by Rosie and the Originals, or In the Still of the Night by the Five Satins, I believe. Please check that. I love just knowing all the music I can and educating myself so I can make these videos and just talk about what I enjoy, which is the music. And in the 50s, it was the DooWops, like I said. They were more a cappella groups that made a more organic way of making their music, rather than getting in a studio with a bass guitar and drums and this whole symphony that you create for your own sound. But it was more of guys or guys and gals with a recording little tape, and you just push go and the bass would start, the bass voiced. It was very common for a man to have a bass lower note to keep on the theme of the song. Like they would sing DooWop or Shoodoop or those types of elongated words to just keep a rhythm for everyone else. So it would be like shoot up, doo up, boo boo up, boom boom up. Like just a easy four beat for the other voices to add their layers, and then the lead singer to sing the poem talking about his love for his significant other or an attractive person that they want to just talk about. So it was centered around love and appreciation for the opposite sex, and in general a happy feeling that you would only know if you've ever been in love, or can feel it on a or want to feel it on a first-hand basis. So that's the theme of the music. But as it progressed into the 60s, the electric guitar becoming more famous and going towards the dreams of a musician, getting that perfect tone that you want and that sound that you can only hear in your head, that you want to project for everyone else to hear. You have more resources coming along to help you to get the sound you want. So as I was saying, it was Barbara Lynn, who was in the 60s, who was a front vocalist who played guitar as well, and her solos were amazing. And I believe she was a left-handed. I don't want to throw any misaccuracy out there, but either way, she had a great voice, and I believe she's still singing and playing her music. But a song that I really love from her is You'll Lose a Good Thing, which is just her appreciation for herself in a maybe troubled situation with her significant other taking her for granted. And if he was to run out and leave and go find another, he'll be missing out, and it's his loss. He'll lose a good thing. But that opened the door as a black woman in the 60s to get her name out there and her talent out there for other talented people of different colors and backgrounds to make their own sounds and put their own infusions of their culture into their music, as Rafi Bagan did in the 70s. I really love his album that has the cover of a Bread song, like the band Bread. They have a song called Make It With You that I really love Rafi Bagan's version of it, and it's really nice. And the overall theme of the music as well, tempo-wise, was just a lower, more something you can cruise to, so nothing, well, not like headbanging, but something more like cool. You can take and embrace your whole surroundings at a lower pace, okay, I can observe everything around me on this beautiful day and in this beautiful car with my beautiful people in my car and maybe my beautiful woman with me, or it's just always an appreciative sense. So in the 60s, from Barbara Lynn, it went on to Brenton Wood, who made it big on the radio with the Oogum Boogum song, and that sped up the pace of the music of, you can still be appreciative and appreciate all the surroundings at a quicker pace with a more bubblegum pop centric music. And it did pick up the pace for later types of music into the 80s with freestyle, and that type of genre was played a lot with lowrider communities because it was popular with Chicanos at the time, and it's always been a parallel to each other, or I don't know what it's called, but they go hand in hand because the lowrider culture did start in Los Angeles with a predominantly Chicano base, or if that's what it's called. It just progressed with that and into the 70s because Bretton Wood came out in 1969. So just to start off the next decade, there were movies that were created to have more exposure for lowriders and these beautiful cars that everyone should get a chance to look at. And in George Lucas's one of his first movies before Star Wars, he created American Graffiti, which is personally my grandpa's favorite. So I've seen that movie so many times, and in that it does have Wolfman Jack, who's the radio personality who is the narrator of the movie, and it's just about just these kids on their night before college, and these big decisions that they have to make, but still embrace and enjoy the time that they do have, because it's running out with all their friends that they grew up with. So they go to that. But a couple of years after American Graffiti came out, this other movie that was still based around lowriders and cars in general was Boulevard Knights, and that talked about just these brothers or these family members. I haven't seen it in a while, but in the movie it just goes more of the day-to-day life of young Mexican American men that enjoy their cars and their family and everything around them, that do have a checkered past and have day-to-day struggles that they try to find outlets for and to wherever they want to go. And it was a great movie to be the forefather for other movies like Blood In, Blood Out, and Boulevard Knights helped with an expansion of Mexican Americans in the 90s, and the music as well. A lot of the artists in freestyle music being of different backgrounds, and on the East Coast in New York, how New York's a melting pot of Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and that Latin side with the faster tempo beats, and going into a new era of hip-hop. Hip-hop really was a real look into the life of these guys who did have to sell drugs or get into crime to just make it through their days, and they're not glorifying what they had to go through, but just witnessing it and documenting it. So it just validates that you just have to do what you have to do to get by. And yes, it could be seen on a crime level, but the intentions are from a family level. But I don't want to condone anything that is breaking the law, but living is a gray area, and you need to seek the help that you and your family and friends to help you get through that. But hearing it from an artist that you enjoy, has been through there or is going through it, and they're just writing down how they feel, and you can relate to that, it's another level. It's like they know you, and that's what the connection to different artists is. And in the 90s with the hip-hop, Kid Frost came out to talk about Laraza, and just growing up in East LA and the tough guys that we're around, and just these are who we are, and take it or leave it. And it was a theme song for a lot of people, and when they listened to it, it was in their lowriders and in the atmosphere that was created in 1940 or in the 40s and 50s. It was more lighter, with opening up the door for a lot of anyone who wanted to make music and share with their friends, and just cruise on a Sunday afternoon with lighter shade of brown. Or if you did have a harder life than others, then you listen like SPM and Mr. Compone E, and people that did have to struggle and get by, and they did what they had to do. So I have a lot of respect for them, but I would never know that feeling personally, but I can appreciate what they've been through, and their music did transcend time, and they're still, like, everyone can rap their favorite SPM song or get into what you know, just that feeling, and just enjoy it and talk about it. And that's what we're doing with today, is just appreciate what happened before us and respect the history that goes along with the lowriders and being Chicano in the United States, and creating what that means to the next generations, with DooWop still being around, with the Marias and other bands like them, to actually keep the what you think, how you like your music. No one can tell you not to make it that way, or that type of music is old, or it sucks, or anything. It's just what you like, and you can't change that either. So that's what I like too. And if you guys have doo-wop bands that are current and contemporary, drop those down too. I would like to get more into modern day doo-wops, and how it feels to be in love in 2020 with the old school feel. That's a great idea for me. So yeah, if you guys know any. But I'm gonna stop blabbering and stop talking. So thank you for being here in the brief history that from my understanding of lowrider music, and what that consists of, because I did make this video out of a request from my sister and my friend. So shout out to you guys. Thank you for all you guys do for me, and I'll see you on the next time. So bye.